From bold colors to unforgettable branding, vintage U.S. airline liveries had real personality, something today's fleets often lack. In this third video on this topic, we're diving into 10 vintage U.S. airline liveries that absolutely deserve a comeback. So hit that like button, subscribe for more aviation nostalgia, and let's take off into design history. Number 10. Allegheny Airlines, blue-collar charm in bold simplicity. Before it became U.S. Air and eventually merged into American Airlines, Allegheny Airlines served as a proud regional carrier with a no-nonsense vibe, and its livery matched that attitude. This paint scheme featured a rugged red stripe cutting across a clean white fuselage, flanked by bold, dark blue Allegheny titles. What made it stand out? Simplicity. This wasn't a livery trying to be fashionable. It was functional, grounded, and confident. It said, "We'll get you there. No fluff, no fuss." Even the tail logo, a stylized A that resembled the runway in motion, spoke to the airline's mission. In today's age of ultra-glossy branding, the Allegheny look would bring back some blue-collar charm. Imagine this classic flying again on a modern Airbus A220 or an Embraer 175, an old-school identity in a new-school shell. It's heritage done right. Number 9. Capital Air, stars, stripes, and charter swagger. Capital Air may have flown under the radar, but its livery was quietly bold and seriously underrated. Operating primarily in the 1970s and early 80s, this low-cost international charter airline out of Puerto Rico had a patriotic paint job that screamed stars, stripes, and service. The aircraft wore a clean white fuselage with deep red and blue cheat lines slicing across the windows, giving the illusion of motion and modernity. The bold Capital name was stamped in sharp navy lettering, while the tail featured a stylized eagle and star design that evoked U.S. federal authority with a twist of flair. What made it iconic wasn't just the colors, it was the confidence. Capital Air may have been short-lived, but its livery made every wide body it operated look like it belonged on a presidential tarmac. Bring that back on a modern jet, and you'd have a retro revival ready for takeoff. Number 8. Pan Am, the Blue Globe livery. Pan Am wasn't just an airline, it was the face of American aviation abroad, and no design embodied that legacy like the Blue Globe livery. Introduced in the late 1950s, this iconic scheme featured a clean white fuselage with bold blue Pan Am titles and the instantly recognizable globe on the tail. It was clean, it was corporate, and it was futuristic. Everything a jet age livery should be. More than just a logo, the Blue Globe symbolized America's global reach and ambition. Even today, you'd be hard-pressed to find a logo with that much heritage baked in. This livery doesn't just deserve a comeback, it deserves a cinematic return. Put it on a Boeing 787 and you got instant prestige. If any airline ever revives the Pan Am name, the Blue Globe is non-negotiable. Number 7. AirCal, Sunset Stripes and California Cool. A short-lived but unforgettable airline that operated primarily along the West Coast in the 1970s and 80s. And its livery? Oh, a retro dream. Bold horizontal stripes in red, orange, and purple curved around the fuselage like a sunset at takeoff. The logo was a simple, lowercase AirCal in white set against the deep plum, but it worked. This was branding that popped on the tarmac, especially on aircraft like the Boeing 737-200 and the rare BAE 146. AirCal's paint job wasn't just stylish, it reflected the carefree vibe of regional flying before everything got consolidated. With today's push for regional airline revival, we say bring back AirCal's livery, throw it on an A220, and let it vibe across California skies once more. Number 6. American Airlines Classic Silver Livery. For decades, American Airlines skipped the paint can and went full bare metal swagger. That classic, polished aluminum livery with its red, white, and blue stripes was the most recognizable fuselage in the US, maybe the world. It wasn't flashy, it was proud, practical, and surprisingly sleek. The minimalist double-A tail logo with the eagle in the middle was aviation royalty. You could spot it a mile away, gleaming in the sun like an airborne bullet of capitalism. Sadly, the switch to composite aircraft like the 787 forced American to paint their planes, and in 2013 the silver was replaced by a more modern, and controversial, scheme. But let's be honest, nothing screams American like a shiny unpainted aircraft with patriotic striping. Time to buff it back into service. Number 5. TWA Twin Stripe Livery. Few liveries define nostalgia the way TWA's twin-stripe design from the 1970s. 2 stripes, one above, one below, wrapped the fuselage in elegance, while the tail bore the proud TWA initials in a red oval. It wasn't loud, it was composed, sophisticated. You saw this livery and you knew you were in for a stylish ride, especially when flying aboard a Lockheed L-1011 or a Boeing 707. The twin stripes hugged the plane like a vintage sports car's racing detail. Subtle but full of motion, and that tail? Oh, pure branding genius. Even today, it remains one of the most iconic tails in aviation history. With TWA nostalgia still strong, a modern tribute using this livery, maybe on a retro-themed American Airlines jet, would be a collector's dream and a spotter's delight. Number 4. Piedmont Airlines, small town spirit in sky blue style. Before it was swallowed by U.S. Airways, Piedmont Airlines was a beloved regional staple, and its blue-striped livery is the definition of wholesome, vintage aviation. The fuselage sported clean lines, soft colors, and humble branding, with a simple Piedmont in a retro-futuristic font and a Speedbird logo on the tail. It wasn't trying to be flashy, it was trustworthy, grounded, and American to its core. Flying mostly Boeing 727s and Fokker F-28s, Piedmont made small-town air travel feel prestigious. The livery's sky blue and navy color scheme was calming yet authoritative, a far cry from today's overprocessed branding. There's even a retro-painted American Eagle Embraer in Piedmont colors flying today, and spotters love it, so why not bring it back in full fleet force? Alright, we've strolled down memory lane, but the top 3 liveries? These aren't just vintage, they're iconic, colorful, downright legendary. Let's count down the kings of retro US airline style. Number 3. PSA, happiest planes in the sky. This one's impossible to forget. Pacific Southwest Airlines, or PSA, literally painted a smile on the nose of every aircraft. Oh yes, a smile. And that wasn't just clever branding, it became aviation folklore. The rest of the livery was just as cheerful. Bold pink, orange, and red stripes, a lowercase PSA logo and bubbly lettering, and a tail that looked like the 70s had a love child with a Crayola box. PSA's branding wasn't just aesthetic, it was emotional. You saw that smiley jet and it felt like your trip was gonna be fun. In an age of delays and baggage fees, who couldn't use that vibe again? Hey, fun fact, US Airways briefly revived the PSA smile on a retro-painted A319. People went nuts. The smile belongs back in the sky, permanently. Number 2. Southern Airways, Southern charm with presidential stripes. Southern Airways flew mostly in the southeastern US, but its bold red, white, and blue Root of the Aristocrats livery turned regional hops into grand affairs. Think 1970s Southern charm meets patriotic fashion. The fuselage wore thick red and blue stripes like a flag on the move, while the tail carried a large stylized S with attitude. Paired with slogans like "Fly the Southern Skies," this airline leaned into its cultural identity hard. It looked great doing it. From DC-9s to Martin 404s, the livery made every aircraft feel presidential. It may have merged into Republic Airlines in 1979, but if any carrier today wants to scream Southern pride and vintage flair in the skies, this is that blueprint. Number 1. Braniff International Flying Colors. No one, and we mean no one, did a livery like Braniff International. From orange jelly bean DC-8s to chocolate brown 747s, Braniff's Flying Colors campaign of the 1960s and 70s painted the skies in full Technicolor. Their motto? The end of the plane. They lived it. Designer Alexander Girard created a whole rainbow fleet, each plane a different color, from turquoise to beige to lavender. Even the interiors were custom styled with coordinating uniforms. But the most iconic? The Calder-painted 727, featuring swirls of red, white, and blue in celebration of America's bicentennial. Braniff's liveries weren't just daring, they were art. No airline since has matched that level of color confidence. Imagine a modern airline unleashing a full-color fleet like that again. It wouldn't just turn heads, it'd own the aviation social media.